So, do we have any first-time guests that are here? Okay, great. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Kirsten. I started last week at the Coalition as the grants manager, so I've been here a total of 4 days. So, well, 4.5, today's not over yet. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just diving in and learning everything I can do to process grants and work with homeless. And yeah, I'm excited to meet you guys, and thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandy Leader. I'm the Executive Director of the Franklin Legacy Fund. And our focus in the last year and a half has been on child and youth homelessness. And we have a special project that I'm here to talk to you about and see if I can enlist your support. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming. Anybody else? Okay, we can open it up to public comment. Does anyone have an item they'd like to address that is not on the agenda? I'm betting we have one. Want to take a minute? I can come back to you.
Apologize. Sure, why not? Wes White, Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union. It's difficult to be both director and actor at the same time, but I do try. Basically, I guess, let's see. There was a cleanup in Salinas along the tracks. Happy 4th of July and Independence Day, unless you're too poor to afford rent. And of course, there was no recourse since Salinas is out for the month. There is supposed to be a sanctioned encampment agenda item coming up, so hopefully you can talk about the many ways you could spend money over there and legitimize people, try to push for immunity from sweeps would be wonderful. The next morning, there was a bunch of people that moved over to another private property adjacent to the train tracks. And I mean, luckily, I feel like it was lucky that I was there. You know, I had my vest and my camera still, and there was about 2 dozen people that were there with their tents on private property. The owner came by, you guys got to go. It's going to cost thousands of dollars, so I'm bringing the tractor in later today. Just put it on public property. I hope your property doesn't get damaged. And then lo and behold, AC Martinez is in the corner, Assistant Chief Police in Salinas. And so he's kind of puppet mastering the owner. Then he comes out of shadows and gives a strange argument. They retreat, huddle, come back, and the owner says, the city's going to turn a blind eye. So if that, like it's that easy, it just feels like a bully mentality. And for people to get paid so much to take away what little anybody else has. I mean, you have so much, anything and everything you could want in the world. You're millionaires, and yet you're going to begrudge it from everybody else that's got nothing. So, I mean, the dichotomy, which is where I keep on going back to administration because this is already law, so they just smash and grab anytime, every time. Also, King City River, folks over there, they got knocked out from Caltrans, so still no coordination. Coalition did not have any idea what was happening, and that is really frustrating and disappointing because are we here to protect these people, or are we just going to let them fly to the wind under any jurisdiction's whim? Let's stop that. Let's stop the sweeps. Immunity from sweeps, please.
Thank you, Wes. Any other public comments? All right.
Sandra, I think, do you want to talk about your project?
Do you want me to just go ahead now?
Yes.
And then I can. As I already said, I'm the Executive Director of the Franklin Legacy Fund, and we've been in existence for about 9 years altogether. I'm here because we're producing a film on the changing face of homelessness in Monterey County, and I would love to solicit your involvement and support. Our filmmaker, Marina Elwood, was going to come with me today, but she had something come up at the last minute and couldn't make it. Our intention with this film is to raise public awareness about who is without shelter in this beautiful and affluent county, the root causes of homelessness, and what people can do to help. We want to create a vehicle that paints a clear and vivid picture of this pressing issue locally, one that can be presented at organizations and community groups and other willing audiences, because we believe that when people better understand the truth about this challenge, It will help change hearts and minds and make your jobs and the jobs of our public officials easier. To this end, we're interviewing key leaders in the field, policymakers, and people with lived experience to help us create an accurate portrait of the situation here in Monterey County. Our idea is to make this film available to all the homeless services providers to use however they wish, in part or in toto. Just incidentally, the Franklin Legacy Fund has also helped found a grassroots organization called Housing for Kids, whose mission is to help find permanent homes for the more than 10,000 students deemed homeless in our county. And their efforts also include an ongoing public awareness campaign, so this film of ours dovetails with that larger objective of Housing for Kids. Marin, the film producer, is an award-winning ethnographic filmmaker whose credits include a documentary for the Immigration Task Force, which we sponsored a few years back. The film was instrumental in helping reassure immigrants that they could safely avail themselves of the services of the Immigration Task Force without fear of deportation. As an ethnographic filmmaker, Marin is trained in documenting real-life situations and filming in situ, which means going to the original places where the subjects are found. And rather than working from a script, it's a discovery process, and the film's content develops based on what is learned in the interviewing and filmmaking. We are very well aware of the sensitive issues involved with filming this traumatized population, as well as the service providers' concerns about protecting the well-being of their clientele, and rightly so. And I would like to assure you that we are committed to treating everyone we interview with the utmost sensitivity and respect, and honoring their privacy. However, if we want this film to have the deep impact it needs to change hearts and minds, it's essential that the voices of those with lived experience be included, because who can better tell their stories? A stipend will be offered to those who participate on a sliding scale based on the degree of their involvement. Marin attended a leads meeting last week to talk about the film and recruit participants. We have another scheduled for next month. And she's been contacted by a number of people with lived experience, but since part of our perception is to break down erroneous perceptions about who makes up this population, we want to make sure to include women, families, and examples of people who are working but still cannot afford shelter. And Marin's heard from a number of single men, but we want to present a more rounded picture. So I have a sheet today that I'd like to circulate, and if you're willing to just have a conversation with Marin about participating in this project, if you wouldn't mind putting down your name, organization, and contact information, and then she'll get in touch with you. And you can just have an initial talk with her, ask questions, find out what it might involve, etc. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, and if you have any questions today, I'm also happy to answer them, and I have some flyers that include some general information, our info, website, and other contact information. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And I'll just stay long enough to let that go around. And thank you again for letting me come in.
So,
Yeah.
Barbara Dickinson says she thinks the film is a great idea, and thank you for sharing this with us today. And then Donna says, should we put our information
You might need a.
in the chat if we're willing to participate?
Please.
So would that be helpful?
Please.
Okay, great.
And then maybe you could document that, I mean.
And I'll send it to you,
Okay,
for sure.
And anybody have any questions who's here today in the room?
Thank you so much for coming, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all for having me.
Okay, for chairperson comments, I want to thank everyone for approving the budget. We were in a position where we were entering July without an approved budget. We really wanted to get a budget going, and according to our bylaws, we have to have 100% participation to do an online vote. You don't have to have 100% ayes, but you need everyone to respond, and everyone did that. So thank you all very much, not just for the time and attention it took to review the information, but for voting on time, for allowing us to do that. So the budget did pass. I'm very grateful to Genevieve and Veronica for answering any questions. While the real work needed to be done, I was on vacation, so I want to thank Jill for answering any questions people had at the last minute. So thank you very much for all you did. So we do have a code of conduct and a conflict of interest policy. We are going through that. We'll check with the governance committee, and we'll probably send that out in the next month's board package. But we do need conflict of interest disclosures from all the members here. So just to ensure that we're doing everything above board. So we'll look at the policy, and we'll be sending that out after review. And with that, I ask if there are any additions or modifications to the agenda. All right, moving on to the very famous member updates. So you each have about 2 minutes to go through, and we do have online, so I'll do it alphabetically so you know when you're coming up. So we'll start with Access Support Network.
Evan, Access Support Network.
Please, go ahead, Evan.
Tim Heaven.
Oh,
Haven.
well,
Kevin.
I couldn't hear the first part.
Kim.
Was there a question? I just introduced myself.
Great, okay. And BACS. Cecil.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Gina with Cecil. We just wanted to give a quick update on where we are in terms of the Pájaro Airport student at EHPs. As of today, we got over 100 referrals, for the emergency housing voucher. We have submitted about 41 applications, to the collection. 20 of them were scheduled to meet with the housing authority on July 3rd. Unfortunately, only 2 people showed up for the appointments. We are working with the housing authority to reschedule the 18 left by the order 21. So hopefully we can get, the 20, 30 applications for the Pájaro area within the next couple of weeks. And we have Stephanie Perez, who is the case manager assigned to the Pájaro services. And she has been going to the hotel being provided by the county as needed, to schedule the appointments with the families and complete as many housing and EHP's applications as she can. That's it.
Thank you very much. Chispa. City of Salinas.
Good morning, Rod Powell, City of Salinas. We are still plugging away with all of our homeless services and affordable housing development. We received word back from the state regarding our ERF2 round application with some pretty vague response. We revised our application and have resubmitted again for another $8 million grant to support an encampment resolution in the Carr Lake area. We have also applied for just under a what will be a $10 million ask for affordable housing development from the state's local housing trust fund. We have onboarded a new SORT team coordinator, Monica Flores. Many of you may know her from her past work with CSUMB. We are doing some restructuring as our community development director has moved to city management in Soledad. I've been asked to step in as an acting assistant director for the department, and things will be moving forward. Keishla Lopez will be joining this group along with me. It's an appropriate assignment for her as the homeless services coordinator. Some newer initiatives is the city's really focusing in the Chinatown area in terms of the revitalization. We're hoping to move this quickly, but these are very slow-moving processes. We have a number of feelers out to property owners to acquire the property, to create larger lots that will accommodate development. We're also working with PG&E on their lot on Bridge Street and in other locations. And hopefully we will have other developments coming in terms of a mixed-use environment, incorporating current service providers in the area and just changing the face of the neighborhood, but with a historical reference. That's really it for now.
Excellent. A lot going on. Thank you very much. Community Homeless Solutions.
Yeah, with the new fiscal year, we have a couple of new key hires that we're trying to make. One is a development director to handle the development side of the business, and the other is a psychologist / counselor to fill the shoes of a wonderful man, Dr. Bruce, who has retired, and so we're looking for another one. So if anybody knows of anybody, let me know, please.
Thank you. Community Human Services.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Evangeline Ochoa. So our youth shelter is doing great. We still have the handrail at the front entrance and the exterior emergency staircase that needs to be completed. And on the building, issues come up, so we're still in the process of doing that. We do have the youth opioid response team from Door to Hope coming out every Thursday during our lunch hour to meet with our youth. Safe Passage is doing well. We did have one female transition into permanent housing recently, so we have our program coordinator going through CARS referrals to get that bed filled. Our street outreach programs, the new hires are doing great. We did receive some funding for a new navigation center, and we'll be opening that up in Salinas as the safe place Salinas hub for our street outreach team. So instead of looking for a separate place for South County, that'll be the primary hub, and then we'll still have our designated days for outreach in South County. And Casa de Noche Buenas also doing great. We currently have a total of 27 guests, which 14 of them are single women. Our Shoe and Cry House construction continues, and the construction is still expected to be completed in August. For anyone interested in getting on that wait list, we are going to be taking the wait list from Casa de Noche Buena. So we are directing anyone interested in contact Casa to get on that wait list. And then we are hoping to start planning out for hiring for Casa next week. We had a successful staff barbecue at Toro Park on June 30th. It was a hot and beautiful day. And lastly, we have our annual luncheon tomorrow in Embassy Suites, and we'll also be attending the Chamber of Business and Excellence Awards tomorrow night. That's it.
Thank you very much. CSU, the Chase Center.
Good morning, this is Maria Gurrola. Thank you so much. Updates continue working with our outreach team throughout Monterey County. I wanted to also thank you, all of you, and for your support as well as the Board of Supervisors, since we were approved to expand our funding to be able to continue providing services. Also continue working with our motel program and just trying to keep up with all the services that our community needs, as well as hiring new staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy's Place.
Good morning, everyone. Jill Allen for Dorothy's Place. I've just got a couple of things to announce. Our street medicine facet of our encampment outreach team is moving forward, and we're really excited about that. The Central California Alliance for Health is granting us $360,000 to move that model forward. And we've also been approved by California Wellness to submit a proposal, which we have, for another $300K. So that's really exciting. We're looking very much forward to working with Clinica de Salud in the alliance agreement. They will provide the medical personnel, the clinical personnel, to help us test and provide treatment for encampment dwellers that are victims of hepatitis C virus. Hepatitis C virus is very important to cure because once it gets started and it starts getting into intermediate stages, it creates the best way to describe it is kind of a brain fog, which prohibits cognitive abilities and the person that is in the encampment from engaging in meaningful services for their future. So we're hoping after a couple of weeks of treatment that brain fog lifts and people feel so much better, and they're better able to engage, and we're hoping to be very successful with that. We also have 4 positions open that we are interviewing for: program director, housing navigator, social worker, and community health worker. Unlike previous attempts, we are busting with new applicants, and we're doing interviews for the next 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll have all those positions filled very quickly. And lastly, because of all of these new positions, we are kind of bursting at the seams at Dorothy's Place. We love it, it's a great building for us, but we need more room. So we're considering supplemental offices nearby in the neighborhood, and hopefully we'll be successful with that because our folks are getting a little tired of doubling up. And that's all for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Downtown Streets team.
Hi everyone, Jocelyn Curran, Director.
Hi everyone, this is Andrew with Downtown Streets. No major updates, just wanted to let y'all know that we're continuing to focus on in the Carr Lake area with debris removal. As the waters receded, we've got a lot done there. We're also in the Chinatown area and downtown. Just a kind of friendly reminder, we actually are going on summer break next week. So we will actually be out until, well, starting Monday, we'll be back on the 31st of August, or of July, sorry. So that's the major update on our side. Thank you.
Okay, since we're starting a new fiscal year, I wanted to share back some of our numbers from last year. So our team members collected over 1.4 million gallons of debris from Salinas, over 62,000 cigarette butts, over 2,800 syringes. We had 14 households housed, 41 individuals total, 9 team members employed over 90 days, and 1,200 barriers removed from in the way of our team members' goals. So we are excited about all the work that we're doing. We're doing team member surveys right now. So every year we do a comprehensive survey of all of our team members to understand how they're feeling. Do they feel supported? Do they feel like their project managers and their case managers are meeting their needs and all of that? So we're excited to see those results. And then we are super close. Hopefully in August we'll be launching 2 new teams in the Alisal neighborhood. And so we will keep you guys posted on that.
Great. Thank you very much. Impressive. Eden Housing. Gathering for Women.
Good morning, everyone. This is just a couple of updates. We've also successfully hired a managing director for human resources and administration. That's very exciting. We've been looking for quite some time now. We also hired a new volunteer coordinator. She just started yesterday, so we're super excited about that and getting our volunteers back on track.
Thank you. The Housing Authority. The Housing Resource Center.
Good morning, everybody. As I had kind of mentioned last time, we've been on a little bit of a hiring spree. So we hired our new program manager and we hired the housing specialist to replace the program manager who was there before. We have one more vacancy for another housing specialist, and we just hired a second program assistant. So lots of moving pieces at Housing Resource Center, but all good and all in the way of expanding our services. We've housed 7 families so far for the month of July, and we still have 3 families that are pending housing. So we're hoping to get in the double digits by the end of this month. We have solidified our annual Hops for Housing event that we do at the end of every year. It's going to be on December 8th at Alvarado Bistro in Carmel by the Sea. So we will be sending out a save the date for folks so they can put on their calendars and join us during that time. And just kind of giving you all an update, we now have 118 cases on hand, and we keep continuing to increase The amount of cases that are on hand, a lot of it is due to homeless prevention cases that are coming in through all of our programs. So the needs to really try to intervene and prevent people from going into homelessness is just becoming more and more prevalent as far as referrals coming in and those needs needing to be met. So I think it's just an unfortunate additional consequence to our housing crisis here in the community. So just working away and trying to get people housed as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Interfaith Agency?
Okay, I'm Barbara Dickinson, and it's actually Interfaith Outreach of Carmel. They haven't gotten it changed yet, I think. We are different than a lot of the organizations that are members in that we are an interfaith organization that actually raises funds to offer for grants. So we don't deal directly with people who are experiencing homelessness. And the two items that I have to report are we are sending out a save the date for our Day of Gratitude celebration that'll be November the 19th at the Carmel Mission. And then also we have grant application information on our website, although we don't really, the applications are due September 30, so you have a little ways to go yet. The website is ifaithcarmel ifaithcarmel.org. That's I-F as in Frank, A-I-T as in Tom, and H as in Harry. And those will be due, like I said, September 30th, and then we give the grants out by December 1st. That's it.
Thank you. Interim.
Morning, everyone. Sophia Kier here from Interim. I wanted to thank the coalition again for the HAP 3 grant. On Monday, we finally moved in some people into a motel. We're able to house 6 people there at a time, and we're working with all of them to get them housed within hopefully 180 days. Also, some great news. Sunrose is coming to a close with its construction, and on Monday we started receiving referrals from the Homeless Coalition through CARS for those 17 beds/units. So that's also great news. The grand opening date is sometime in September. I don't have it yet, but clearly everyone here is invited. I'll announce that next month. And a reminder that the Omni Center is open daily. All clients are welcome there from, for the morning, and we serve lunch. The address is 339 Pajaro Street. That's it for interim.
Thank you. Meals on Wheels of Monterey Peninsula.
I could probably wrap most of it into my presentation later. My name's Jacob Schaefer. I'm the Senior Director of Advancement at Meals on Wheels Monterey Peninsula. I would just say we're hiring right now for a marketing coordinator and also for a development coordinator. So that's
Thank you.
More to come.
Mid-Pen.
Morning, everyone. Dominique Cohen here from Mid-Pen. Wanted to share a couple of updates. Excuse me. We are at the moment are having a board retreat, and we ran some numbers for Moongate in particular so that I could share with the board later this afternoon. I wanted to share, which I was really excited about, is that through a number of different programs, the number of lease violations that the residents had been receiving compared to last year, so from last year to this year, they've been cut in half, about 50%. For our CLC in particular, they were cut in half, about 62%, which suggests to us that some of the behaviors that we were seeing earlier on, we're making a lot of headway and the residents are making progress. We will be having on August 2nd, a National Night Out event with different community members, and we're going to have an artist to come in and work with the residents. Unfortunately, we do have one open position of a licensed clinical social worker. Our LCSW has decided to move on, so I am looking to replace that position. So those are the updates that I have.
Thank you very much. County Department of Social Services.
Hello, Lauren Suwan-Suka with Department of Social Services, for kind of general county updates, just an update regarding the county's response to support in the Pajaro area after the floods. The board did renew one additional month of services in that area. I believe Roxanne Wilson, our Homeless Services Director, is planning to provide some more details to that, and will come out to the network shortly about what that entails. I do believe that it is in a kind of wrapping up effort as that support will be winding down. Also just wanting to push some of the different positions, as you guys all have, recruitments going on. There is an MA2 position specifically to support the Homeless Services Director within the county, very high profile position, needing a lot of experience. As well as we have a vacancy on our Community Action Commission in District 1, so people who live in the Salinas area, that's specifically to represent those who are living in poverty. Also, since Bax didn't present, they also are recruiting for an Associate Director of Housing and Homeless Services that specifically would oversee their Monterey-based programs, including our Share Center. I guess the last piece of, Community Action Partnership is also getting ready to prepare for releasing the RFP for services for those who live in poverty. Those probably come out around September. Many providers here are current CAP members, but those get reestablished every 2 years for services starting in January, and that would be for 2024 and 2025.
Excellent. Thank you. County Office of Education.
Good morning, everybody. So we've been really busy preparing for next school year. Our school districts and charter schools in Monterey County actually identified over 11,000 students that they served last year with our program. So I know we're working really hard with our families. We also hired a program services person who is working on actually housing people, and we've been working a little bit with the Housing Resource Center. Thank you so much for supporting that effort. And so I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's a spectacular background. It's like you're on Game of Thrones. So. San Benito, HHS. Sun Street Centers. Salvation Army. And VTC. So the Lakefighter Village project, which is the new 54 million, 71 unit affordable housing project, is just behind us, about 200 yards. So if you were leaving, turn left again. It's at the end of Hayes Circle. They have bulldozed the previous houses and they have laid the foundation for the new project. So it'll be 3 stories, it'll be ocean views, and it's all affordable. And due to our deed restriction, VTC has currently 107 bedrooms down on Hayes Circle. But all of those are for veteran and veteran-connected families. So Lakefighter Village will also be deed restricted due to it has to be veterans or veteran families. So we're very proud of that, and last year, adding some of our numbers, of the 107 units, our goal is 90% occupancy. And we have 6 different programs, 1 emergency housing, 4 transitional, and 1 permanent. And last year, our overall occupancy rate was 93%. So we're very proud of that. And we also have 2 other programs off-site. We have an aftercare and a prison program that we also work. So again, that's VTC. And do I have YWCA online?
Hi everybody, my name is Paula Chavez. I am the Housing Service Manager for the YWCA. I just wanted to just give a little brief update. Really, we continue to support individuals and families who have experienced domestic violence in their shelters by connecting them with their housing counselors to assist them with identifying housing or any other needs. In addition, we continue to support calls from our crisis lines by providing them with information and resources. with information or resources as needed. That is it from my end, unless August would like to share anything.
Great, thank you. Do we have any agencies that did not speak that are now willing to speak? Okay, we are.
I can't, I'm Dana from Chispa, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
please.
think I got in 10 minutes late, so I may have missed. I don't have a lot to say, except that we're still working on our East Garrison building. It feels like we're always just almost at the end and not quite there, but it's the 66 units out on East Garrison. We're approaching the end, probably October, November. We did put out a solicitation for pre-applications, and I think we got about 2,000 of them, which breaks my heart, given that it's only 66 apartments. But we're gonna move forward and start processing those applications, or we have started. I think that's all I need to say.
Thank you, Dana. Anybody else? All right, we are very excited to have one of our new members do a presentation. So we're moving to Jacob and the Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula. Jacob, over to you.
Thank you, Kurt. Should I stand in the front of the room?
Sure.
Doesn't matter, side?
Doesn't
I can
matter,
sit.
wherever you're comfortable.
Your voice carries.
I did bring a slide deck, if that's appropriate for right now. Usually I don't do this, but threw something together. So let me pass around some business cards. I know many of you in the room, but for those that I don't, if you don't mind just passing that around. Again, my name is Jacob Schaefer. I'm the Senior Director of Advancement at Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula.
Just give me a minute. You want to ski? Nice. Haven't seen one of those in a little bit.
Thank you. So we're a fairly rooted organization here in Monterey County. We've been in existence for 51 years. Originally based out of the basement of Carpenters Union Hall in Monterey. And we moved to our current location in Pacific Grove in the late 80s. And up until recently, really, at the onset of COVID, we had served homebound seniors, which I think is synonymous with Meals on Wheels and probably how many of you know Meals on Wheels. But since COVID, we've expanded our mission. Can you do the next slide, please?
I'm sorry.
So,
Is that how you're seeing it? That's how it's. Okay. Complexities of hybrid, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. It's all good. So, we've expanded our mission really beyond seniors, and that's part of the reason why we're so excited to have our membership with the Homeless Coalition, is that we're serving veterans, disabled adults, hopefully homeless, and many other groups throughout the county who are in need of food and socialization. So it's kind of this growth period for Meals on Wheels out into a broader spectrum of constituents. Next slide. What do we do? So is there anyone in the room that has had an experience with Meals on Wheels? Neighbor, volunteered, maybe a grandparent as a recipient? So, next slide please. So we have 3 core programs. Home delivered meals, you think of Meals on Wheels, that's what we do. We have a huge core of volunteers who pick up meals every single morning from the community center in Pacific Grove and deliver them from Big Sur to Marina to Carmel Valley and everywhere in between. The difference between Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula and other programs throughout the country is we prepare the meals there and we deliver them hot. So that, when I started there, I thought they all did that. They don't. It's actually about 5% of programs across the country actually make the food. Otherwise, they're sourcing them from vendors out of state, they're frozen, they lose a lot of the nutrition. So we're very proud that we make the food there, we deliver them hot. Second core program is group dining, and that's for ambulatory seniors, so people who are out and about in the community. We offer lunch in Pacific Grove, Marina, Monterey, Seaside, and Salinas. And the community center. So that's kind of another piece that makes us an outlier is we operate from a very robust and active community center in PG, where there's programs, there's exercise, there's presentations, movies, a whole bunch of stuff. Next slide. So going back to the top where I shared we kind of are expanding the groups in whom we serve, this demonstrates some of the impact. And I realize these are just kind of big numbers and it's kind of hard to place it, but just to say from 2020 to now, we've grown about 125%, gone from like 300 clients to over 1,000 over the course of a year. So we're really pumping meals out there in the kitchen in PG, and we've kind of reached our limit actually. So we're looking for additional space, and hopefully we'll be able to open a kitchen with much more capacity. Next slide. Some ancillary services that we provide. We have something called Home Heart Heroes, where we get into clients' homes and do some ADA specific construction projects. So try to look at Meals on Wheels as something that's much more than just the nutrition. It's helping people stay at home for as long as possible. And doing these home upgrades like a ramp or lighting or a walk-in shower, these things are massive for people who are homebound, and help them stay at home safely and more healthily for as long as possible. Friendly Voices came out of COVID as well, and that was kind of a phone and email conversation socialization program. And then we have a list of community partners. So next slide. Volunteers. So I think a lot of us can probably relate to, volunteers being the lifeblood of our organizations, and it's so true for Meals on Wheels. We have over 500 in the course of a year, and without them we would just shut our doors because there's no way to get the food out day by day. So next slide, you'll see this is actually what we call our driver board, and it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of make out each one of these columns is a day of the week. And you can see there's probably about 35 names against each day. And those are volunteer drivers who come from all over the county to PG in the morning, pick up the meals, and then deliver them out to clients on the peninsula. So in the course of a week, we have 200 different people coming in and picking up meals to deliver. Next slide. Okay, so we got a really cool partnership that I want to talk about with the Monterey Bay Fisheries Trust. And what they do is solicit grants from federal entities and fundraise around the country to support fisheries, and they get that money and they purchase seafood that's sourced locally and sustainably from the Monterey Bay, and then they donate it to organizations like Meals on Wheels. And then we incorporate that wonderful local seafood into our menus. And we're having kind of a joint fundraising dinner on September 7th in PG at the Meals on Wheels Community Center. It's part of their Get Hooked series. They have these dinners all over the county, and we're the lucky recipient of the next one coming up in September. And yeah, you can stay there. And yeah, just again, kind of to harken back to the whole thing is, what we do is much, much more than just food. And so hopefully we can all kind of come together and partner in some way in the future. I think our hope is that being a part of this coalition will build some relationships and find some opportunities to where if your programs have a food component, we may be able to help out. And that is all. Any questions?
Thank you, Jacob. Are there any questions for Meals on Wheels?
Just a comment from Dorothy's Place. I think it's absolutely incredible that you're serving hot meals out in the community. That is so important to retain the nutrition in those meals, and it's so important to the people that receive them, that they don't have to take a frozen brick and stick it in the microwave.
Amen, sister. That is so true. We could easily pivot to frozen meals, and all of the food safety concerns go out the window. Our operating costs would plummet. There's a strong case to do that, and that's why 95% of programs do that. And we hang our hat on the hot meal, the locally sourced food. There's something to receiving a hot meal from a caring volunteer that you can't put a price tag on, and so we're sticking with it. Thank you for saying that.
I'd just like to say, I'd like to connect you with our staff, particularly to see how we might be able to assist your Home for Heroes program with some CDBG funding.
That'd be terrific.
I don't know what your source is or what your capacity might be to take on some of that, but I think it's something that could materialize with us.
Thank you very much. It's a heartwarming program. You can just see how these small scale projects that you can do in a few hours change people's lives. And it's a good example of how we're trying to extend beyond just that nutrition and socialization piece, which is absolutely key and bedrock to who we are. But there's a lot of other opportunities like this that help people live in their homes as long as possible. So thank you very much. We'd be happy to talk more about that.
Jacob, from BTC standpoint, thank you for including veterans. I know many of our veterans rely on the hot home delivery, so thank you for that. And can you explain, Meals on Wheels is a national organization, but you effectively are an independent local 501c3, correct?
That is correct. So there can be a little bit of confusion. You'll see a Super Bowl commercial put on by Meals on Wheels America, and you'll go and you'll donate your $20 and you'll feel good about it. And that is good. Don't get me wrong, that is good. But your local program won't see that money because they are an umbrella advocacy organization that actually doesn't prepare or deliver any meals at all. Very, very important that they exist because they advocate in Washington, D.C. For the Older Americans Act, and we get funding through that, and they're critical. But if you want to support your local program, you would go to the individual website and make a donation there. So we are completely independent, as all Meals on Wheels across the country are. We have a sister agency in the Salinas Valley that delivers North and South County. We provide their meals as well. And yeah, so we're kind of a standalone independent thing.
Well, we're very proud to have you as a member, and thank you for all the information.
Thank you guys very much for the opportunity to talk.
Coalition updates.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jacob, for coming in and doing that presentation. That was wonderful. We do have a new grants manager, so Kirsten Young is coming to us, and started 2 weeks ago. Last week.
Yes, last week.
It feels like forever already.
I think Friday or Thursday. I was still doing the onboarding.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
So it was last Thursday that Kirsten started, and so that being said, follow-up segue, we are right in the NOFO. The NOFO dropped for HUD COC NOFO, so Kirsten is coming in at a great time.
What time for NOFO?
Just diving on in. But so the HUD COC HUD COC NOFO is our NOSA funding for opportunity. It comes out annually. A lot of you have been a part of the annual process, but for those that are not aware, it's really the first opportunity that came about for continuums of care to really provide renewable funding for agencies and services around our local continuum of care. So like I mentioned, it dropped on July 5th. The application is due September 28th, which is great because it gives us a little bit more time than normal. But some of the segues is we don't have all the information from HUD. So we don't actually know the total amount that we'll be able to be eligible for renewals. So any of the information that we're passing out is just with that caveat, that just so you know, we're operating with, you know, the basic construct of what we have from all of our local competitions. We'll have more information as we come, but we want to make the opportunity available as soon as possible for agencies, so we can give agencies the ability to write their applications for a longer period of time if we can do that. So that's the goal that we're operating at right now. I sent an email out yesterday to the network, just saying that the Bidders Conference, we are hosting a Bidders Conference next week at 4 p.m. So that is next Wednesday, 4 p.m. It's going to be online. And Focus Strategies is who we are working with again this year. So they will be supporting with any questions. They'll also have office hours this year as well. For those that have been a part of the process, you all know that the software that is used for the competition can be a little tricky to use, eSnaps. And so they're providing, you know, hands-on training for that as well. We'll also just be going through that process. So we're getting our funding competition is going to be going out to the Leadership Council today for approval, and we're really hoping to set everything up so that we can get this process going as soon as possible, but making sure we support our service agencies and being successful. So that being said, timeline will be coming out hopefully next Monday. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're shooting for. So you'll be getting more information then. Any questions before I move on? Okay, awesome. So that being said, just FYI, some of our staff will be just working on the NOFO. If we get to you a little bit slower than we usually are, just be patient with us. Feel free to follow up with us. We're here to support you. It's just that we're possibly just getting ready for our competition. So some of our staff will be a little bit slower to respond. HMIS update, we did send out an email, I believe it was 1 or 2 weeks ago, just stating that we did get additional funding to support our HMIS licenses, and so the HMIS licenses will be able to continue at 50%. I do want to give a shout out to MCDSS, that was a great partner in making this happen. And so that being said, if you've already sent out a check, we are going to be working with those agencies just to make sure that you all get that 50% back to you all. So if you've already sent us a check, don't worry. We see you, and we're making sure that you get reimbursements to make sure that you have that 50% back to you all. And yeah, any questions?
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. MCDSS couldn't have been done without you. And Central Coast Alliance for Health is also a partner in this as well, so I can't forget them. Yeah, and that's it for CHSP updates, unless there's any questions from anybody. Great, fantastic.
Do we have any questions or any issues from the people that are online right now? Okay, we are right on time, so please take about a 12-minute break. We'll come back as scheduled at